get started, I do just want to say to all the kids in the audience, I know this kind of thing can get kind of boring sometimes. So while most of my jokes are for your parents, I'm going to make you a promise. Before we finish, there will be at least one fart joke, at least one butt joke, and at least one poop joke. I promise. So that you don't miss them, I will give you a clue. A 1 for fart joke, a 2 for butt joke, and a 3 for poop joke. So keep your eyes and ears and nose open. My beautiful wife Emily is here with us today and pregnant with our second child. Thank you very much. In our first pregnancy, she didn't have a lot of the normal cravings and aversions that you might have. That is, until the second trimester. We're walking through the supermarket one day and... What is that? It smells like peaches? Peaches! Have you ever smelled anything this good in your life? The baby communicates with the pregnant mother through cravings and aversions. So for example, when I was in the womb, my mother would violently vomit if she came near an onion. The day after I was born, she ate a delicious giant hot dog covered in caramelized onions. I, on the other hand, have never voluntarily eaten an onion in my life. I find them completely onion-ceptible. Thank you. So, we gather as many peaches as we can. We come home. I start cooking dinner. Cheeseburgers. A pregnant wife's nose knows what the baby needs. The nose knows. So, for months, it was nothing but peaches and cheeseburgers. Peaches and cheeseburgers. Never peaches on cheeseburgers. Only peaches and cheeseburgers. Then one day, you wouldn't believe it, in Wilcox, Arizona, I found a peach festival. Peach mania. Everything peaches. Peach pancakes, peach pies, peach pumpkin purees, paprika peach popcorn, and plum peach parfaits. A specific event dedicated to the exact two things my wife is craving most in the world. I'm a genius. I start planning the big reveal. I bring her a nice cold glass of peach tea and put some burgers on the stove. I feel like the greatest husband in the world. Honey, you won't believe what I found today. Ugh, what is that smell? What smell? That smells awful. She comes to the kitchen and leans over the stove and nearly pukes. Beef is disgusting. The nose knows. Oh, and honey, can you grab me a lemonade? I'm getting kind of sick of peaches. We never made it to the Peaches and Cheeseburger Festival. As the great Dr. Seuss might have said, the nose knows a yes, and the nose knows the nose, and peaches and cheeseburgers are clearly no-nos. Ironically, the next set of cravings was ham and spinach omelets. You know, greens, eggs, and ham. With burgers firmly off the menu, they were replaced by steak, because clearly when an all-beef patty causes you immediate violent nausea, a steak is fine. So one night, with the steaks in the oven, we're sitting on the couch, listening to the Bible in a Year podcast, getting lost in the Word, and all of a sudden, I feel like I'm in Mass. Like I can feel the hard wooden pews below me, like I can almost smell the incense. She leaps from the couch, runs to the stove, and says, "It's okay, it's fine, it's fine, it's fine." And a puff of smoke emerges from the oven. The nose knows. You see, I'm a wise man. I would never directly tell my wife, "I think you're burning dinner." But when smoke is wafting through the house, so I have learned in all of my time as a husband that you need to be as kind to your wife and as gentle as possible as you're doing this. So when the dinner is not going perfectly, we have a special system. We've dubbed this the accusatory sniff. It's a special way of informing your spousal chef that the food needs to be checked without directly saying, I think you're ruining dinner. But there is a special art to the perfect accusatory sniff. Let me show you now. Please give me your quietest, gentlest, softest sniff, like you've woken up the morning after a rainstorm to smell the grass. Beautiful, beautiful, perfect. They didn't hear you. Dinner's ruined. Now give me your loudest, most powerful sniff, like you're filling a balloon in your belly. Great, great, they heard you. You saved dinner and started an argument about your rude and immature behavior. You must sniff at the impeccably precise volume of pure, plausible deniability. A sniff so subtle that it's almost not noticed, but still present enough to prevent burning down the house. Observe. Your turn. The average American farts 20 times per day. Statistically, that means about one fart every 72 minutes. So with an audience of this size, over our last 1 minute sniff fest, approximately 2 to 3 of you have farted in public. So if you did not pass gas, say thanks to God for his great mercy in sparing you the trauma of tooting surrounded by so many sniffing strangers. And if you were one of the unlucky few, the nose knows. With smoke slowly filling the kitchen, I launch the perfect accusatory sniff. She leaps from the couch, runs to the stove, opens the stove, and says, "It's fine, it's fine." My eyes are watering. It's totally fine. One thing I've learned in 2 years of marriage is that the number of qualifiers before the word fine is inversely related to the truth of whether it is, in fact, fine. She's wafting a towel through the air. It's very likely totally fine. Imagine a priest performing an exorcism. He leaves the site of the possession, and you ask, "Father, how did it go?" "Fine. Totally fine. Very likely totally fine." Let's just say we ordered pizza for dinner. A few months later, I had another kitchen experience that was rivaled only by the birth of my first child. My wife is an absolute superstar. She was induced 3 weeks early and still had a completely pain medication-free birth. Yes, please do. She is a rock star. She is incredibly inspiring. When I held that baby in my arms and set her on Mama's chest for the first time, it was by far the most profound moment of my life. There were no thoughts, no words, just pure emotion. Similarly, I was sitting on the couch one day, my wife upstairs in a well-deserved bubble bath, and I heard a drip. Could have been raining. I looked out the window and the sky was clear. I turned and froze, unable to fully process what I was seeing. There were no thoughts, no words, just pure emotion. I was right. It was raining in my kitchen. Not a hole in the ceiling, not a downpour, just a slow, steady drip, drip, drip from my lights. Now, you may not be an experienced homeowner like me, but light bulbs are not supposed to drizzle. As I slowly realized what was happening, a small bubble of paint on the ceiling started to slowly fill with water. I knew my wife wanted a bubble bath, but not this kind of bubble. Get out of the tub! Now, I don't know if you've ever been a very tired, very busy, very pregnant woman taking a very rare, relaxing bubble bath, a hard-earned moment of peace and relaxation, only to have your husband shout, "Get out of the tub!" But it's not fine. It's not even slightly fine. It's certainly not totally fine. I'd like to take this opportunity in front of all of you to formally apologize for ruining that bath and to welcome my beautiful wife, Emily, and baby Nellie to the stage for a brief round of applause. That's for Daddy, that's not for you. Good girl. Thank you for putting up with a husband like me. I deeply appreciate it. When baby Nellie was still in her mama's belly, her mama was a nanny for a wonderful family. We weren't going to find out what she was until she came out of the womb, so we decided to ask them, do you think it'll be a boy or a girl? And Mom said, it's a girl. And the dad said, it's a boy. And little 2-year-old Ethan came up and put his hand on her belly and said, it's a baby. He was right. It was a baby. Smart kid. We're not finding out with baby number 2 either, and I highly recommend it. You tell people you're having a boy, you get all blue clothes and trucks and dinosaurs. You tell them you're having a girl, it's all pretty pink dresses and dollhouses. But if you don't tell them, they actually have to shop your registry. You get bassinets and bottle warmers and, even a bunch of diapers. And don't worry, when they see the cute girl, you still get the dollies and the dresses and the dollhouses. From the day she was born, everyone who looks at Nellie says the same 2 things. She is a beautiful, pretty, perfect little princess. And she looks just like her father. That's why I need the beard. Under this, it is perfect, pretty princess. One more round of applause for Nellie. You did such a great job, honey. I love you. Thank you very much. And despite being the only performer tonight wearing a diaper, to my knowledge, she is actually the least likely to pee her pants out of fear. She'll kill me for that one when she's older and watches the video. I don't mind that people say I look like a pretty perfect princess, because I know how rugged and charming I am, how tall and handsome I am, how honest and humble and hardworking and humble and hilarious, hysterical and humble I am. I hear some chuckles. You may doubt my humility, but I assure you I am the most humble man you will ever meet in your life. It's true. If there were a world's most humble man competition, I'd win. Hands down, I would. Imagine, the competition has just finished. All the world's most humble men gather at the stage as they announce the awards. The first place winner is not me. But being the most humble man in the world, he says, thank you so much for this great honor, but I simply cannot accept this award. I am not deserving. Please pass it on to the next contestant. And the second place winner, still not me, so honored by this award, says, please, please, I'm not worthy. You must be someone else more deserving. Please, hand it to another contestant. And the trophy would change hands and change hands until eventually it reached mine. 473rd place. Thank you very much. I very much deserve this award. I am very humble. Thank you for recognizing the superiority of my humility. My wife is a lifelong Catholic. Her dad is a Catholic deacon, and I needed a lot of humility to accept that there were a lot of theological details I needed to catch up on. So, as you do, I went online to look up the arguments in favor of the existence of God. And when you look up the arguments in favor of the existence of God online, you find some interesting things. You may have heard of the argument for the human eye. The argument goes something like this, that the eye is so perfectly tuned for vision, so precisely designed, that if even the smallest element was out of place, vision would be impossible. It's a clear demonstration of God's handiwork. It's a moderately convincing argument. Less convincing is a similar argument I saw online from a Protestant about the perfection of the banana. Behold the atheist's nightmare! The banana! Perfectly curved to fit man's hand, soft, delicious, and easy to chew, yet protected in a convenient non-slip packaging. It even comes with a convenient color coding system. Green is too early, black too late, and yellow just right. Clearly the work of an inspired designer. Yes, please, for my banana mistress. Thank you. Not that convincing. The most convincing and most interesting argument I found was written in the year 303 by a man who was an advisor to Emperor Constantine. His name, Lactantius. His masterwork, On the Workmanship of God. I'd like to read a brief passage for you. Mark another manifestation of his providence. The body is provided with the natural couch of the buttocks, so that you can make a seat of the ground or a stone and not be hurt by sitting on bare limbs. You are ungrateful notwithstanding. You fail to recognize these gifts and rant and rave against this wisdom that makes such provision for you. So, the next time you're sitting on a hard wooden pew or an uncomfortable folding chair, imagine how much worse it would be without the plump natural seat that God has provided. And if you feel your butt is a little too big, remember that 4th century Christians saw a bountiful bottom as undeniable proof of God's great wisdom. When I married a Catholic, we entered marriage prep, and we spent a lot of time discussing Pope John Paul II. Sorry, we're all friends here. We can call him JP2, yeah? We spent a lot of time discussing JP2's Theology of the Body. What I didn't realize is that I'd later be more convinced by the Theology of the Booty. I love that one, I'm sorry. You don't have to love it, it's for me. I am a very humble man, so I'm not going to tell you how hard it is to fit in that many butt jokes and keep the language fully appropriate. But I will say, because this is the family-friendly Catholic Comedy Festival, I wanted to keep the jokes rated PG JP213. My beautiful baby Penelope was all the evidence I needed that God is real, that he is good, and that he loves us. Is absolutely perfect. And a year later, I've seen, or rather sniffed, a more pungent example of his goodness and grace. You see, as a first-time dad, I actually expected far more accusatory sniffs. And yet, I learned something. Young babies, when fed with breast milk, actually have a slightly sweet smell to their poops. Their dirty diapers are certainly not pleasant, but compared to solid food-eating toddlers, they're far less nasty in both scent and texture. It didn't have to be this way, but God, in his great wisdom, has provided expectant mothers and new mothers and fathers, and mostly mothers, with the gift of diapers that are just a little less terrible than they could be. At least for now. As a convert into Catholicism, I had a lot of vocabulary to catch up on. There are a lot of Catholic acronyms. You know, JP2, JMJ, RCIA, CCD, RIP, PCAD. It seems like mostly they like to keep the consonants and remove vowels. I suppose we all know the value of a good, healthy vowel removement. In the Catholic Church, the acronym BM stands for Bone Memoriae, in Latin, which means of good memory. So to this great list of Catholic acronyms, I'd like to add a humble suggestion: the good memory of breast milk bowel movements, or the BMBMBMs, otherwise known as the bum bum bums. So, the next time you're sitting on your bum-bum, or wiping a baby's bum-bum, or watching a movie and a suspenseful moment comes up and the orchestra goes, bum-bum-bum, remember the triune gifts of God, the mercy of sparing you from farting surrounded by sniffing strangers, the wisdom of providing a comfortable butt to sit on, and the kindness of breast milk poops. Last night, I asked my wife, what do you want for dinner? You know what I haven't had in a really long time? A good cheeseburger. Oh, and you know what would sound so good right now? Peaches. But they have to be canned peaches, cold in the fridge, cold canned peaches. Oh, doesn't that sound good? In 35 years of life, never once has the phrase, you know what would be good? Canned peaches come out of my mouth. In fact, in 35 years, I don't think canned peaches have ever gone into my mouth. But the nose knows. So we are back where we started, and peaches and cheeseburgers are back on the menu. And wouldn't you know it, there's another Peaches and Cheeseburgers Festival scheduled for this summer. So, if you enjoyed this festival with your family, I hope you'll consider joining my Peachy Keen family in July at Wilcox Orchard for the Peaches and Cheeseburgers Festival. That is, unless the cravings turn to aversions again. Which would be fine. Totally fine. Very likely, totally fine. Thank you.
Topher Keene, everyone.